So we are going to go through some spicy comments, some questions that deserve a deeper and harder look. And I couldn't do this out without my cohort, Mr. Millennial Mike. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Yeah. And this is the segment of your channel each week that we try to do where I go through the comment section and I pick out the ones where people are pissed off and angry, or I pick out the genuine, sincere, good questions, things that you need to elaborate on more. And this week we're going to start with somebody who was ticked. So you recently this guy was mad. You recently did a video with Beth Traverso. It was titled Airbnb Crash is Official. Revenue down dramatically. What is this owner doing today? At Cyrus Murphy says, ha, what a clickbait title. What's official about this crash? Beth just didn't keep up with the competition. You saw how the Reventure crash data was debunked by AirDNA. I dare you to actually engage with more than a 3-word response. To which you responded with 2 words, thank you. So I'm here for our boy who's angry.
Yeah, no. So yes, everybody saw the nonsensical video by the name that will not be mentioned. But one of the things I do on my channel is I take topics and I bring them to real operators. And yeah, the title was obviously clickbaity, but it was also the reality. So I've done Airbnb discussions with Omar, Adrian, Jason, and Beth, and all of them have said, one way or other, Airbnb dollars are down. Where Beth was different is she did the right things, right? For Beth, this is a second home for her family, and she supplements the income with Airbnb. So she went in and she spent some money adding more, stuff to the game room and all of those things. I have a particular heartburn for Airbnb because I think it's going to hurt a lot of people. I think the last 2 years were abnormal. I think there's a lot of people that look at Airbnb as easy money, and there's nothing easy about it. And it's my job to highlight that. I have said repeatedly, and will say again, Airbnb can be an amazing business if you have the right property in the right location and you run it like a business. If you are coming to Airbnb because you think it's passive, the IRS doesn't even think it's passive. So you're in the hospitality business. And yeah, I'm glad it got a reaction. And I get a lot of reactions from people who are pro Airbnb. I think a lot of people do it the right way. I think a lot of people don't do it the right way. So I'm just trying to warn there's a right way and a wrong way. And I'm glad it got a reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely for sure. And it seems like it shouldn't be so controversial. It's like when there's good times going on, bad operators still look good. But when the bad times show up, the bad operators get cut out of the market first. That doesn't mean you're not pro Airbnb.
No,
just the
I think
reality
it's
of the
a
situation.
wonderful business. I've used it. I just know. And again, the reason I go to meetups, Mike, is because I want to know where the audience is at, because they're like my little early indicator. And when everybody's going Airbnb and doing arbitrage and thinking they can build these huge real estate portfolios from nothing, I'm like, oop, that's gonna burn a lot of people, because it's never easy. Can it be done? Sure. Are there people doing it? Sure. But are 90% of the audience going to do the right things in the right area, the right way? Of course not. They're going to overpay. They're going to cut corners. They're going to do nonsensical things. And I'm trying to warn people that there's pain ahead.
Right. Yeah. So if you didn't hear that, folks, Zuber regards us all as his little test subjects whenever he goes to live audience. All we are is just equivocally his finger in the wind. He's just trying to figure out which way things are going.
I just try to figure which way to run. What's the opposite direction?
All right. Okay. So let's move on to the next topic from Paul Jensen. This is about firing a property manager. Mike, when you fired your first property manager, were they working for you solely, or did they have multiple clients? You've talked about having bad experiences with the first one. So why'd you get rid of them?
Yeah, I was a small fish. The first property manager, I think I fired when we just had Norris Drive. The second one, we may have had 2 or 3 houses, right? All 5 were fired before we were of subsequent size, before I had the weight to kind of be a big fish. We were tiny. So no, they didn't just work for me. Then I was, I was giving them, I think at the time, 10% of rent collection. This is 20 some years ago. So I was a nothing burger to them. But when you're small, nobody's going to look after your dollars like you. And, when you're big or when you get some size, you can throw your weight around. I want a single point of contact. I want a reduced rate. I want this special report generated once a month. You have some size and clout. But it's tough in the beginning, man. Nobody watches your dollars like you. And yeah, I trust people, but I verify everything. Yeah, trust but verify.
I got a question for you. So for the brand new investor, the little guy, they've got their first unit, maybe under their first 10. What can they do to get more out of their property manager? Because they are the little fish. They don't really have as much attention.
So one of the things that I did probably by the third one, maybe the fourth one is I got irritated, frankly. I was like, God damn, this sucks. What am I doing wrong? So I started to implement weekly phone calls. I'm like, hey, I need 15 minutes once a week scheduled call because I wanted to get more early signals. Basically what I was showing them is I wanted to be treated professionally as opposed to an afterthought. And I think it was the fourth one. I actually told them that was going to be a requirement for me coming to them. And that really was helpful. I would definitely set up weekly calls. I would, because this is all kind of one-off thing you do when you just have one unit. It's tough. So even if it's a 5-minute phone call, because again, right, early in the month, you could say, did they pay rent? Middle of the month, any cleaning or maintenance we should do? Everybody has seasons, hot, cold, rainy, dry, what's going on. You could ask them about other, you can tell them your buy box, any other sellers selling. I would schedule a weekly call.
So what I did when I noticed I did not get great service from my property manager at the beginning with my first, second, third, fourth rental, tough to get responses back sometimes. Would have to follow up with emails. I didn't like it. What I did and what I always recommend people to do, because I invest out of state at a distance, the first thing that we always talk about is it's important to build a good team. Property manager is part of your team, but the most important person on your team is your network of other investors. Who do you know in the market who's already investing successfully? So what I did was take a recommendation and a referral for a property manager from another investor. And this other investor has a more established past with a property manager and has a lot more rentals. So I got to piggyback off of how important they are by going to them and telling on the property manager, hey, I can't get him to respond. Well, would you look at that? They send one text and, oh, I thought I responded to you earlier, Mike, but I guess my message didn't hit send or so. Yeah, okay, sure. 4 times in a row. Yeah, I believe that. So it's really good. If I wanted to go invest in Fresno, I would be asking Zuber who he uses. So that way they take me a little more seriously when I say, by the way, I'm here from Michael Zuber. So treat me well because he's my friend.
Absolutely. Great advice.
All righty. Turnkey providers. Very, very popular. But things are changing in the market. We want to know if they're even still relevant. So from average millennial investor, he asks, is it bad to buy from a turnkey provider? For example, REI Nation, Clothier Family seems trustworthy. He says, I know turnkeys buy properties, renovate, and mark up before selling, but I have a full-time job and I like the passive pitch for turnkeys. How would turnkeys work with an 8% mortgage rate?
Again, I don't know I don't know turnkey providers. I think Kent Clothier, I think I've spoken to him once. I don't know any of those firms. So this is generic, not aimed at anyone. They're for-profit businesses. They are in it for a profit. There are obviously parts of the cycle where it makes sense. Today, with high prices and high rates, it feels like cash flow would be tough. The other thing I would remind you is I had a full-time job. I had a family responsibility, and I too could find 20 minutes a day. I think a lot of this passive pitch is an excuse for not wanting to do the work. Even if you're going to go turnkey, which I think is right for many people, it doesn't give you an excuse not to do the work. I'll never give you that excuse. If you do the work and you tell me the great deal is a turnkey option, awesome. But if what you're telling me is I'm going to buy a turnkey because I'm fucking lazy and I'm going to just trust them, well, then you're going to get what you're going to get, and you're probably going to get got. I don't know what people don't understand. Buy box, focus, daily discipline, 20 minutes a day, find average, learn great. The rules don't, it doesn't matter if it's a junker, it's a wholesaler, it's on market, it's a turnkey. All of that is irrelevant until you do the work and you can articulate what an average deal is. It's just is what it is.
So my very first deal out of state was from a turnkey provider that was actually recommended by you through the grapevine, technically. And I bought the first one as a turnkey provider deal. It was a good deal, and I have never bought another one since. And if you want to know why, you should follow me on my channel, because the story's too long and I'm not going to tell it here. But I like turnkey providers, but there's your little tease. Okay, comments of the week. I'm trying to find comments that I thought particularly stood out, sounded good. This person deserves a little highlight. This is from somebody who watches a lot of your content, a lot of Dion's content, at MattBobs7249. He says, and this was on the topic of government programs to assist with to help the housing market. He goes, when the programs run out, homes will be totally unaffordable for the next batch of new buyers. We investors will find opportunity by buying add-on value turds, etc., that live-in buyers won't touch with a 10-foot stick. It's amazing how we can fix our collective stupidity from the big thinkers with our individual creativity.
Yeah, I think really what he's articulating there is my concern. Right. Or earlier in the week, and it may have been on this video or another one. I don't know where this comment was in the threshold of videos, but there's a potential for $100 billion in assistance for first generational home buyers. Mm-hmm. And when you do the math at 25K a pop, that's potentially 4 million buyers. If that got through and unlocked 4 million buyers, there's a couple of things that would happen. First and foremost, let's be clear, landlords would feel pain. Landlords, it would be 2006 all over again. You would have higher vacancies. You would lose good tenants. Landlords would feel pain. Let's get that off the table. Yes, absolutely. Second, you would get, so in California, we had something called California Dream. I think it was $100 million. Maybe it was 50. I don't know what it was. Some pile of money where it went to first time home buyers with some criteria and basically was consumed in 8 days. Mm-hmm. But what really happened when you talk to agents, people were writing offers and escalation clauses because it was free money. Mm-hmm. So think about unlocking 4 million potential buyers into a market where we have 1 million available units across the country, where I would argue we have less than 400,000 first-time home buyer or affordable homes. That's a 10-to-1 ratio. Mortgage brokers will love you. Real estate agents will love it. Sellers will love it. Landlords who want to sell will love it. But what you're going to get, Mike, is you're going to get people that overpay. And what Paul is pointing out is all of that happens over time. So let's say they announce this February of next year. You're going to get 2 and maybe 3 years of stupid appreciation. We're talking double digits easy. But then what's going to happen in the next recession? Mm-hmm. That will undoubtedly happen. They're naturally part. Is you're going to get people who overpaid, who over-leveraged, who did this, who did that, who would now get foreclosed on. And Paul is right. At some point in the future, we will buy stuff at a discount. This is just like 0506, where where I am declining tenants and they're buying homes. There would be 2 or 3 years of amazing appreciation. My net worth would explode, mm-hmm. and I would sell. But then there will be a time where you pay the piper, and there will be a lot of people hurt. So, I mean, it's frightening that we could repeat the same thing.
It seems to be that we don't really learn our lesson very well. We just think, well, whatever was tried before, we're smarter than those people from
Yeah,
10 or
we're
15
gonna
years
we're gonna
ago.
try it different.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit more of the same. Yeah. Ultimately, I think that there's, what's that phrase? I think it might have been Milton Friedman. There's nothing more permanent than a temporary government solution. What ends up happening is everybody gets addicted to one program after the next and free money for everything. And we need stimulus and we need safety nets. And now we need down payment assistance and first time home buyer assistance. And it just becomes foolish because all we do is bid the price of everything up. And I
We
think it was
don't
actually
need demand. We don't
right.
need demand. We
We
need
don't need to
supply.
create more demand. Okay. All right. So apparently you decided to just quit your current channel and start uploading daily financial news to some other channel. What's going on? Why is there another One Rental at a Time channel video series coming out?
First off, thank you for that. So yeah, I do have another channel called Daily Financial News, but let me kind of explain my logic. And let me first answer this. My One Rental at a Time channel, there's nothing changing. Daily Financial News still goes off 5 days a week live. I still do 6 videos a day. There's absolutely nothing changing with One Rental at a Time. But over the last couple of months, I've had time with Ryan Pineda, Sean Cannell from Think Media. They both have connected me with other folks that have basically pointed out a couple of flaws with One Rental at a Time. Flaws. One, I produce too much content. 6 videos a day, 7 days a week for 5 years is 11,000 videos. The YouTube algorithm doesn't know how to treat me. When you're releasing a new video every 2 hours, it has no time to go viral, right? Because it's chewing on your video, then another one comes out and it starts over, right? So by doing what I love, I'm hurting myself. Second, it is clear from both of them and others, I have attracted a loyal following, and I love all of you and I appreciate the support. Lots of you, myself included, appreciate doing it live, no edits, when my dog barks or whatever. It just is what it is. But that's not for everyone. There is a collection of folks out there that will stumble on my channel, see me being non-crisp, and never come back. Mm-hmm. If I truly want to help a lot of people, I need to find a way to reach them. So I've been hearing this kind of advice for 6 months from people that are massively more accessible than me on YouTube. So I have been chewing on this. And what I came to is One Rental at a Time is not changing. I'm having too much fun. I get to talk to my buddies. I love the following I have. However, I do feel like I need to try to attract the people that are not attracted to live and unedited stuff. Mm-hmm. And again, I have 11,000 videos. There's a lot of content there that could go elsewhere. Right. So in reality, I'm creating 2 channels. Nobody knows this because nobody's asked. I am creating a daily financial news channel, which is this. I'm now paying someone to take my raw feed that goes live at 7:30. They will watch it and they will add edits. They'll add pictures and summarize charts. And we're trying to figure out what works, but that will go live at 6 p.m. the same day, right? Mm-hmm. 6 p.m. Then there's a second channel that I'm looking to create called Best of ORAT. My vision for that channel is every day I produce 6 videos, right?
Right.
I want them to take the video from the day before that had the most views and do the same thing and put it on a separate channel. Sure. So again, I want to be very, very clear. The things that we all love about One Rental at a Time are never changing. I am having way too much fun. But I do think that the fact I'm hurting myself with the algorithm, I'm not reaching more folks, that if I paid someone, because let's be clear, that both new channels, no original content, zero. I will never post there. But I'm lucky enough to have the financial bandwidth to pay 2 creators to take 1 video and do 1 video a day. This is kind of my happy medium between Ryan Pineda, Sean Cannell, and some other very experienced folks. Okay, Michael, you got to do 1 video today. Stop doing 7 videos, you moron. You're an idiot. I mean, they've been reaming me, to which I say, I am who I am, and I'm not changing. But when you have 11,000 videos and you have a rhythm, it doesn't mean you can't do something else. So I'm giving it a shot. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know. I'm certainly going to give it a couple of months to see if that bends. But let's be clear. All I'm trying to do is reach more people, so we bring them to one rental at a time.
Right.
I will never change. I will only post here. I will never stop doing the daily financial news. It's too much fun. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if you have thoughts or feedback, but that's what I'm thinking about doing.
As usual, you just, all we're doing is talking about ways that you're broken.
Yeah, exactly. I'm broken.
So Ryan Pineda and some other really smart guys gave me this advice. I told them to pound sand. I'm not changing my channel, but I'll just create more channels. So the answer to less content is really more content. That's the Zuber way of fixing the problem.
I'm a hammer, man. That was my nickname, a hammer.
Oh, that's funny. Well, yeah. So, okay. So what were the names of the other two channels again, real quick, so people can look for them?
So daily financial news is the channel. I think it's got like 50 some odd subscriptions today, or subs today. And the other one would be Best of ORAT. I don't think my content creators posted a video yet, but that one is coming. Best of ORAT. And again, that's just going to be what video the day before got the most views. Oh, by the way, the best video, not the daily financial news, obviously, if that wasn't obvious. But yeah.
So sounds like people need to go and look for those two channels, subscribe, give them a little kickstart to the algorithm, see if we can help out. And then, yeah, hopefully we start to bring in a few more people to the One Rental at a Time family, because that would help you. And ultimately, your 48,600 subscribers, Dion and I only care about ourselves, and we want to go to Vegas. So the more people we bring in, the better. And at 50K is when we're going.
That's right. 50K, we start the plan. That's right.
So real quick, just so people know, Zuber did do an interview recently with Ryan Pineda, and I don't have questions about that here because we're going to react to a video later. We're going to react to some more videos possibly next week. But we are not just forgetting about his big 66,000 views already interview with Ryan Pineda. So don't worry, we're not forgetting about that. Okay, interesting question here from Paul Jensen. Again, Paul Jensen, 4773. What are the plans for when you're gone? So he says, the 50 years after you pass will start with the first idea. Do a video on how you envision that first year playing out after you pass. Will you bring someone in before that day to manage your empire? Will you have a trust to be managed? Will Olivia, if you die before her, manage it? What's going to happen after you're gone? How are you planning for that?
Yeah, Paul's great. He's created a couple of comments that have made me go, yeah, we need to do that. So I need to create that video. Obviously I have all the legal documents and all of that, but create it, should I get hit by a bus on the way home, for example. But I have not tied my I want to exist for 50 years after I'm dead impact with my portfolio, right? Those have always been separate in my mind. To Paul's credit, I need to merge those and create that story. And I'm not ready to do that yet, but it needs to get done. I need to think about it. I need to get it right in my head first, but Paul's right. I think that'd be a great share. I'm just not ready to do it.
Sure. Well, I guess we'll look for that video in the future, or Paul, just keep on asking the question.
Keep asking me once a month. That'd be fine. I don't mind.
All right. Recently, you and I did a handful of videos about Grant Cardone, and there's some people who love him, some people who can't stand him. And so Weezer, yeah, right. The Weezer 648 says Grant is a criminal. He has some good points, but I think the SEC will be knocking on his door soon. He also says that if you don't make $500,000 a year, then you should be ashamed of yourself. What a tool. Mike, what do you think?
So I have no idea if the SEC is going to call, none of that. That's for them to figure out. But I want to talk about the 500K because I saw that video. It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while, yeah.
Yeah, and what's reality is that was a clip it from him talking on stage in front of an insurance audience of the top 1% of this company. So it's funny. So I go back to my experience being a sales executive, and I was routinely on stage, sometimes in front of 10,000 folks, sometimes in front of the top 50. And here's the deal. If I'm sitting in front of the top 50 enterprise sales professionals, they're probably all making $500,000, probably 700 grand or more. If I'm sitting in front of an audience of 10,000 people, it's a different game. But I got to tell you, if I was up on stage in front of the top 50, I might have said something similar. Like, you're not doing it. Because when you come in and you're like the top 1%, you've been anointed by God that you're the best of the best. You don't listen to people on stage. You have to say something to shock them.
Right.
So I have been known to say some wild ass crazy stuff to get the audience to, what the hell did he just say? Now, to take something like that, thankfully, I don't think any of it's on video. It probably wouldn't look good in a 60-second clip. But that said, to answer the bigger question, of course not. If you make $500,000 a year, it's great. I think the winner is much more like Gary V. If you're happy, you win. I don't care if you make $5 or 5 million. If you're happy, you win. But in fairness, that clip taken totally out of context, it's frankly unfair, I think. And I'm not trying to defend him because I am not a Grant Cardone fan, but having been that guy on stage in front of 50, killers, it's tough to get their attention. So it's tough.
Yeah, I remember I heard him expand on that idea one time, and he said, you think being a millionaire is rich? If you got $1 million, you can barely survive one legal problem. You can barely survive one major health event problem. There's so many ways that $1 million can get wiped out that it's irresponsible of you to settle for being just a millionaire. And when you think about it that way, you're like, well, yeah, I mean, Lord forbid someone in your family gets some crazy cancer or disease, and in just one experimental treatment, you've wiped it all out. I mean, shoot, you break an arm, you spend $1 million at the hospital here in the US sometimes. I mean,
ouch.
Ridiculous. So, okay. All right. Let's move on to another spicy comment about how it's just easier for you and the lumberjack and Dion. You don't understand, Mike. All right. So from Armin D. Galleon 8077, he says, due to high prices, high demand, and too much hype in real estate investing, it's harder to replicate the gurus who did it earlier. Let me know what you think.
It's funny. This was kind of a similar question without the piss and vinegar I got at the real estate meetup I did last week, and why I'm doing this free event on the 13th. I could not rebuild my exact portfolio today if I started today. So, that part of his question is valid. But that's the only part of his question that's valid. I believe Dion, Matt, anyone else, Anna Kelly, anyone who's really gotten financial freedom from this thing, if we started today, we could still build something meaningful. Would it look exactly the same? Of course not. I could tell you with pretty good certainty, my portfolio would be smaller, but also better. Would I be in California? I'm not sure, but it would certainly be something better. So this person looking at day one or year one and trying to compare to my year 22 is intellectually dishonest. And motherfucker, you haven't paid the price yet. You don't earn 22 years of this just by whining and being a little bitch. 22 years, every freaking day, through the ups and downs, plenty of mistakes. If you want it, are you fucking interested or are you obsessed? If you just want to whine, bitch, go watch the Crash Bros. Go sit in the parking lot and get drunk. If you want to get in the game and do the work, and yeah, it's hard today. It's always hard. I don't know. I just get irritated clearly by people that just want to whine and complain and not do the work. So, sorry.
I can empathize to a point with what the commenter said, because the reason I started my YouTube channel almost 5 years ago at this point was because I was watching so many people talk real estate online who were already very successful. I watched people like Dave Ramsey, Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, and I'm like, okay, they're telling me how to invest in real estate, but they started 20, 30, 40 years ago. Is it really still possible? Can you really still do it? What's changed? But I didn't sit there and say to myself, it's not possible, I'm going to complain. I said, I believe I can do it. I'm going to document the process. And now 13 rental units later, 3 different markets, a ton of passive income from it, only starting in November of 2018, not even 5 years. What I've noticed is that every few weeks, I'll see a comment on my channel, dang near every day, because you have a much bigger channel. You're going to see the same sentiment echoed. Well, it's harder in 23 than 22. And it was harder in 20 than in 18. And it was harder in 18 than in 15. And it's just forever people make this comment. And they're just wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm going to hopefully dispel this. I'm doing an event, 500 folks. It's now, I mean, I'll check right now, right? This is recording at 8:05 a.m. It actually might be sold out. Let's see. Or sold out. It's free, so it's not really sold out, I guess. Oh, 499 out of 500. So we got 1 seat left.
By the time this video posts, it'll be gone.
It's gone. It's probably gone by now. But what am I doing on the 13th, 8 to 10 a.m.? I'm going to answer that question. If I had to start today with 0 units, with interest rates over 7% in a high-priced market, what would I be doing? And again, I will acknowledge there's no chance in hell I build the portfolio I have today. That's not what I'm trying to do. I didn't get into this thinking I was going to build this. I got into this thinking I could get 4. And when I got 4, I wanted 10. You have not paid the price, so you don't deserve the rewards. It's just that simple.
So my very last question for the day was just answered, and it was from Taylor DU6UC, and he said, what are the blueprints to being financially free from 20 to 26 years old? And I think you just said on August 13th, you are hosting a free event that hopefully he signed up for, because he ain't getting a ticket now, but you're hosting a free event where you're going to teach people how to get started today, any age. I assume you're not just looking at 20 to 26, any age, how to invest in real estate 2023, given the changing economic situations we have right now. What do you do?
That's right. Exactly.
Perfect. Mike, that's all the questions I had for you this week. I appreciate you as always for having me on.
Yeah. And folks, for a couple of F-bombs I dropped, I'm sorry. I just got irritated. My bad. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.